Hey, this is Lee Nelson, and today I'm going to talk to you about intermittent fasting. So this is something that I do have experience with, and um, I have experience with other people doing this as well. So um, it's an interesting topic. It's trending right now. Of course, um, so first, what we need to talk about is what is intermittent fasting. So there are a lot of different ways that you can intermittent fast. There are a lot of different ways to intermittent fast, and it has a really kind of a broad definition. Um, so you're basically restricting calories at certain times, either certain times of the day or certain days of the week. Um, there's alternate day, every other day intermittent fasting, 1 or 2 days a week intermittent fasting. There's a lot of different varieties in this, a lot of different varieties. But what I really want to talk about is what's most popular, which is a intermittent fasting window. So on a daily basis, restricting calories on it or restricting your food intake to a certain amount of hours in a day. Now, typically, the most popular version of this is a 4 to 6 hour window. And so what I'm going to talk about today is the dangers of doing that, why you may not want to do that. Personally, I think the longer window, an 8 to 12 hour window, is perfectly fine. There can be benefits eating within a 8 to 12 hour window, for sure. There can even be benefits to the 4 to 6 hour window. But I'm going to talk about some of the dangers of doing it and why you probably don't want to do it. So why do people do intermittent fasting? Well, the number one reason is weight loss. And why are they getting weight loss? It's because they are restricting calories. So, the purpose behind intermittent fasting is restricting the eating time, but to eat all of your calories within a 4 to 6 hour window, most people can't do it. So you end up restricting calories, and therefore you will lose weight. And that is a big benefit. A lot of people do need to lose weight, and that's a big benefit. Now, there are a lot of different things that can happen when you try to do this intermittent fasting. And so when you think about that, trying to get all of your calories, let's say you're eating 2,000 calories in a day, you want to get those 2,000 calories within a 4 to 6 hour window. And if you're not used to doing that, what's going to happen is you're going to go towards the calorie-dense foods, which is the high-fat foods. And that is not a good thing. Even though overall you're calorie restricting and you're going to lose weight, long term, it is not good to be on a high-fat diet. You're going to end up with heart issues and all kinds of other problems. So the diet has to be right in order to do intermittent fasting. Intermittent fasting by itself is not going to solve all the issues, all the problems, right? There's a lot of other things that go into it, but we're talking about the dangers of intermittent fasting right here. So the number one danger is that the diet will still be too high in fat because you got to squeeze all those calories into that small window, and you'll be eating a lot of fat. And what I do personally is a high carb, low fat diet, and I tried the 4 to 6 hour window, and it just doesn't work. My stomach would be extended and feels awful, and digestion is bad. Just trying to, and I'm a super active person, so I'm eating closer to 3,000 calories. Trying to get 3,000 calories in a 4 to 6 hour window is just rough, especially the way I do it, raw vegan, so it's all fruits and vegetables. It just doesn't work. And so yeah, and that is one of these other one of the reasons why you don't want to do intermittent fasting is the extended stomach. If you're going to eat these huge meals 2 times a day, you're going to have, your stomach is going to look extended and feel bloated. It just is when you eat these huge meals 2 times a day for a very small window. and digestion is going to be off. Our body can easily digest between 500 to 800 calories in a meal. Anything over that, if you're trying to eat over 1,000 calories in a meal, digestion is going to be off. It's going to take more time. It's not going to digest very well. That's just how it is. We're not meant to digest these huge meals. You see some of these animals, and they're all carnivorous animals that eat gigantic meals, right? And then they go a long time without eating. We are not carnivorous animals. We're related to the gorillas and the apes and primates, which are frugivorous animals. We eat a lot of fruit. We should. That's our natural. And those animals, if you look at their natural way of living, they eat small meals throughout the day. They're more grazers. And I think that's more healthy. It keeps our blood sugar stable, which is another thing. Doing the intermittent fasting, you could have spikes and drops in blood sugar. You could have spikes and drops in mood. And another big thing is the sleep. So especially if your eating window is towards the end of the day, towards the evening, if it's before bed, you have this huge meal before bed, you're not going to sleep well. You're not. So if you decide to do intermittent fasting, I would recommend having the eating window earlier in the day. There's been a lot of recent research that showing that if you calorie load early in the day, that there are more benefits to that versus the intermittent fasting in general. So I recommend having a good calorie-wise meal, breakfast or lunch earlier in the day, and then have your big salad at night, which is a smaller calorie meal, but it's enough to fill you up bulk-wise. So yeah. Now, we talked about uneven energy, disordered sleep. Another really big issue with intermittent fasting is that it could produce disordered eating behaviors. So this idea of restricting during the day, it can lead to binging then during your eating period, and binging on unhealthy foods, right? And that kind of goes with the high fat, because you've restricted yourself during the day to not eat or not eat very much, depending on what style of intermittent fasting you're doing. And then when you get to your eating window, you're so hungry, you just binge on some of the worst foods. But this can lead to eating disorders, this style and type of eating. So I recommend eating smaller meals throughout the day. It's a lot more stable. It's going to lead to more stable energy. It's going to lead to better sleep. And it's more natural. That's more natural, the way that we're meant to eat. Eating small meals through the day, you're going to have more energy, and you're not going to have those cravings, right? Because you're eating more often. Every 2 hours or so, you're eating again. So you won't, if you do have a craving, you can be like, oh, hey, I'm about to eat in another hour or so. No problem. Yeah, I can make it that long. But when you have these cravings and you've been fasting for 8, 10, 12 hours already, your decision making, your willpower is just so much worse. So I think it's really important to start the day off strong, have good amount of calories in the morning, get in your fruit meal, get in your smoothies, get in all the good stuff right away in the morning. Start your day off strong. You're gonna be so much better throughout the day. Have those small meals, have the snacks through the day, eat the fruit, and you're gonna do great. So don't worry too much about intermittent fasting. You probably will naturally do an 8 to 12 hour eating window during the day, probably just naturally. Most of us don't like to eat super early in the morning or super late at night. It is good to have I would say 3 to 4 hours before bed. You know, your last meal, finishing your last meal before bed, so it's all digested. Have something simple for dinner, simple salad, or fruit if that's all you want. Fruit for dinner is perfectly okay. Simple salad with the fruit dressing is fantastic. And if you're just doing like a simple steamed vegetables, cooked vegan, that's perfectly good too. It'll digest well, you'll be able to sleep pretty well. So that's my tip for this video, the dangers of intermittent fasting, why you may not want to do it. Alright, so if you have any questions, post them in the comments and I will answer them. And I hope you're having a great day. Keep going for the fruit and eat those small meals more often through the day. Alright, I hope you have a great day.